Yo, what is up everybody, it's Jay the Great here and welcome back to another Naruto reaction video here today. And today we have an all new video by the great Swagkage, and as you can tell by the title, this is Minato versus Tobirama. Alright, so once again folks, we are revisiting this topic. I believe Swagkage did this video with Seth a few years ago actually. So they are revisiting it here today, and I'm very intrigued to see if their stance has changed at all, or further yet, if their conclusion may be changed. Who knows? But as far as this matchup itself, there seems to be more empirically for Minato, right? The fact that he seems to be implied as a superior during the Nine Tails attack, with Hiruzen literally saying, "Where is Minato?" implying inferiority to Minato, and Hiruzen being stated in canonical literature to be more talented than his predecessor, being Tobirama Senju, right? So that piece of empirical evidence, alongside others within the canonical literature, allows us to safely deduce that Minato is superior to Tobirama. That's how I look at it. But like I said, I'm very intrigued to see what Swag says about this one. And I'm curious to see if his stance has changed at all on this topic. So let's find out. But before I begin, I know it's really appreciate it. Hit that like button. Turn on bell notifications to stay updated with yours truly. And if you're new and you enjoy, man, and you mess with a kid, make sure to hit that sub button, because once you do, become part of the family forever. Let's not waste any more time, screen. See what Swag says about this one.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Swagkage
here. And today, I brought Seth.
Hi, I'm here. Hello.
What up, Seth?
We're those of you who are like veterans, like channel veterans, will recognize this topic because we did it before. I'm actually not sure where it got uploaded. Might have been my channel, might have been Seth's. But we talked about this forever ago, 5 or 6 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, half
and
a decade.
videos, yeah, the videos either unlisted or deleted now. So we figured we'd revisit it. We've grown a lot since then. We've changed our opinions, developed our knowledge of the series, and it's still a popular topic. As a matter of fact, I got a phone call, like not like a Discord call, a phone call from RDC World where I got asked this exact question.
Shout out to RDC.
Weeks or like a month ago or
Shout
something.
out to RDC.
So it's something that people still talk about, and yeah, I just wanted to go over it because I wanted to say it was interesting, but it's
So let's just let's explain this 20-minute video about why Minato slams. Starting
like
from the top.
dude, it's not close at all,
Yeah.
man. Like I know that like I have a reputation for being like the Uchiha guy. So it's
Dude,
like,
Minato
of course
is
Swag
literally
doesn't like
just-
Tobirama, but like yeah, no, like
Minato is just
so
literally
strong.
Tobirama's upgrade. Like, you know how Kakashi's always like the next generation will
Pretty
surpass
much.
you as he's looking down on Kakuzu and he stabs him. It's like Minato is just next gen improved Tobirama. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where Kakashi got that knowledge from. like that's why he says that. Like, because
Yeah.
he's just an actual improvement. His
Yeah,
flying
no, I
Raijin's
mean,
better
like,
and everything.
There are so many like crazy statements about Minato. Okay, like he's definitely one of the gods of the verse that gets like talked up by pretty much everybody who knows him, right? Like, there are other characters like this, like Madara and Hashirama predominantly. Minato's not quite on that level. Pain and Itachi are kind of there, but I mean, like Minato gets taught. Like Jiraiya thought that Nagato was the chosen one, and then
There's arguments for
considered
that
it
too,
might
being at that
actually
level,
be
but
Minato. The Raikage
debatable.
talks about him like he could have saved the world. Hiruzen seems to think, at least for some amount of time, that Minato might have been like the strongest Hokage. Like he doesn't say like, oh, if Hashirama was here, or like if either of the Senju brothers
He
were
tried
here,
to
he'd be
put
able to
down that Minato coffin real quick.
yeah, he saw the Hashirama and Tobirama coffins, and he was like, well, this might be tough. And then he saw the Minato coffin
Yeah, he
come up, and it
freaked
was,
out, started sweating, like, oh god, I gotta stop that one.
yeah. So I mean, like Minato is like really, really strong. We might be playing up
correct.
how good he is at being a ninja, like just a little bit here. We might be hyping him up a bit too much, but like just to
I
give you,
I don't think he's stronger than Hashirama or something.
yeah,
but, like,
I agree. I don't think
that's
he's
something
stronger than
Hiruzen did
Hashirama.
say, you know. Like,
He like just because he's not stronger than like the two strongest pre-six pads characters in the whole verse doesn't
Right.
mean that he's like ass or anything, right? Like he's pretty much right on the cusp of that level. That's how people talk about him before he gets the Nine Tails. Then you have Tobirama.
I mean, you have the fourth Raikage say, I've never been able to imagine him being surpassed.
Yeah,
or,
they're like
anybody beating him.
There are multiple translations of that statement. The
They
Viz
all pretty
version
much
of
just
it.
say the same. Like,
Yeah, the Viz version of the statement is the most debatable. But the anime says something more along the lines of like the fanslations, like the community translations that came out before Viz translated it. And it's the general sentiment of it is just that it's either he doesn't think anyone will ever come along that will surpass Minato, or more commonly, he doesn't think there existed or will exist a better shinobi than Minato.
Yeah,
Correct.
And that's kind of like a huge roster to go through. Like third Raikage, fourth Raikage, any like Sanin, like any Hokage that he knows about. He thinks all of them are inferior to Minato.
I mean, he's talking to Naruto right now, too, like, as he says it, right?
Yeah.
Like, who's, like,
And
in KCM.
And it's clearly talking about his actual, like, power scale as a shinobi, because then he says, and even with all that power, he's not here today, because he underestimated the threat.
It's not like the statement that Hashirama makes, where he's like, your brother Itachi was a better ninja than me. It's not like that, where it's, like,
it's
clearly...
an actual power scaling statement. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
Exactly. That's the difference.
And then you have Tobirama, who's, like... nobody ever talks about.
There's nothing. The only thing that people ever say is like Orochimaru's like, man, you used to be a piece of shit.
I mean, like
literally
people,
it.
like people bring up. This happens a lot in the war arc specifically. People bring up how he was the creator of the reanimation jutsu, and how like a lot of people suspect that he was the one who revived them. And the best statement for him is Madara saying, like, after, by the way, this is not in, like, it's not a good looking moment for Tobirama. Like, most of the time when Minato is getting praised or hyped up, it's either by somebody who wishes he was there to help, or after he does something really cool. But Tobirama, Madara throws this compliment at him out of spite, like, while he's on the ground, pinned down by a bunch of Rinnegan rods. And
that context matters, right?
And he's just like, you who used to be hailed as the fastest shinobi. And it's just like, I mean, like, that could mean, like, anything, right? Because
that could mean, like, the fastest of his time. That could mean fastest when he's second Hokage and Hashirama and all of them are dead. It could be, like, maybe he heard from Izuna as he's bleeding out, like, he moved so fast I couldn't see him because he teleported or something, sliced him, There's so many reasons he could have said that, and it does not actually scale to him really at all. Like, there's no real evidence of it. The only evidence of it is that he kind of, like, he dodges a
All right, so I'm going to play devil's advocate for Tobirama right now and simply say this. I have to admit that Swag and Seth are picking and choosing which statements to revere and which statements to not, right? They revere the Raikage statement about Minato when he says, I never thought someone could surpass him, right? But then they don't revere Madara's statement, which was, you were the fastest shinobi of our time, of our era, along those lines, right? So the point is, to stay logically consistent, I think the best course of action is to give the benefit of the doubt equally. I'm not saying that I'm on Tobirama's side. I'm just playing devil's advocate here to kind of address this specific event that is currently taking place with revering one statement, but not revering the other, right? Yes, Tobirama was pinned down. He got his ass handed to him by Madara, but to kind of try to pick an interpretation that isn't in favor of Tobirama sort of shows logical inconsistency when analyzing statements. However, going back to Minato's side, there is much more statements for Minato, right? Indicating superiority and things of that nature. But my interpretation of that has always been that Tobirama was the fastest of his time. Now, the only other interpretation that I think is very possible is that he was the fastest shinobi of his time besides EMS Madara and Hashirama full power. That's probably the only other interpretation that I would go with. I wouldn't try to nitpick it any further than that. You are starting to heavily speculate, and I try to avoid that, as you could end up having some flaws in your logic, right? Which is what we want to avoid here. So, either way, playing devil's advocate again, I'm not saying this is my take. Tobirama being slower than EMS Madara and full power Hashirama doesn't necessarily prove that he's inferior to Minato, right? Again, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I'm just trying to give Tobirama some credit here, because I know some people get upset about it, and they say, why does Tobirama get nothing? He just gets no benefit of the doubt on anything that he's ever accomplished or anything ever said about him. So fair enough. I'm trying to do that here today, but yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Let's continue.
Strike from one-eyed Madara, but it's also implied that one-eyed Madara is just kind of toying with him. So it's kind of, you know, how much does it mean? You know, especially when Tobirama's like, hey, Minato, your body flicker a lot quicker than mine.
Yeah, no, so some people think that this means Flying Raijin, because I'm pretty sure in the official Viz translation of this chapter, they say teleportation, which that's what Flying Raijin does. You teleport from one place to another. But the Viz name for body flicker or Shunshin is teleportation, because before Flying Raijin is ever introduced, that's how they decided to translate it. It's the art of teleportation. It's what ninja use to move really fast, and it's something that pretty much everybody uses in combat at a high level. So his Shunshin being better than Tobirama's, which is also demonstrated, by the way, by the fact that he gets there before any of them do.
Teleports a 10 Tails Bijou Bomb as well before they get there.
Exactly. That just means that Minato is faster than him, right? So
I agree.
That's
an important distinction and a great observation. I agree.
Okay.
Reason number 2 is Tobirama has no AP feat at all, other than fighting suppressed old Hiruzen. Now,
Unfortunately, this is the case for Tobirama
is,
fans,
like,
I should say.
Off by Kabuto as like the strongest current of the Go Kage or whatever. But the other thing about Hiruzen is that his true power might need to be unleashed on some Haku type beat where he can only go like true full power when he feels like he's protecting something and like has to get over his feelings about Orochimaru. And by the time that happens, the summonings are kind of like gone. So even that is just like unquantifiable. So like even the Edo Tobirama is just that one. I mean, that one's obviously a lot nerfed, but he's just vaguely fighting someone who is less strong than someone who is stronger than the Gokage or the strongest of the Gokage.
Yeah, I mean, so at best, what this would do is put him above, like, and I mean, this is being very generous. This would put him above War Onoki, War A the Fourth, and War Mei, because there was no Kazekage at the time this statement was made, and obviously he wasn't being compared to the other Hokage, just the other 4 Kage from the other 4 great nations. So Onoki seemed, now this mostly comes from anime filler, but if you take anime filler seriously, Onoki seemed pretty scared of Jonin Minato. Like, you know, and I mean, like, Minato was just, like, single-handedly dealing with, like, platoons of stone shinobi, and it's not like Onoki ever tracked him down and killed him or whatever, right? So, like, Minato seemed fine there. As we've said, looked up to him. I mean, like, we don't even have to talk about this.
To the highest degree, right?
Minato was so strong that no one would ever come along to surpass him, and then...
Probably not Moog and Getsu, any of them either.
And then I don't think we have to talk about Mei, right? So,
yeah, we don't. No, we don't.
Mei is just like the Walmart replacement of Yagura, because he got killed by Obito too fast.
Yeah, so it's just like, in terms of AP, Minato is just out there, like, he just casually cuts off one of B's tentacles.
Which we've seen those, like, partial transformation catch a Bijou Bomb before, so they're actually pretty tough.
Minato is able to, like, blow up Obito's arm when he fights him during the Nine Tails attack. He's just, like, one Rasengan from him, and Obito gives up the whole fight.
Yeah.
Like...
And Minato thinks that you'll need, like, Kyuubi Chakra to be on his level and lots of things.
So that's another thing, too, right? Like, Minato has just blatant scaling above Pain, because Minato watches Naruto fight Pain, gets an understanding of how strong he's supposed to... I mean, this is post-Chibaku Tensei that this conversation happens, okay? And Minato's like, okay, so, like, Pain's really strong, but that guy in the mask is... And keep in mind, this was, like, 16 years ago Minato, like, reached this conclusion, okay? He's like, that guy in the mask, you're gonna have to master the Nine Tails Chakra to be able to beat him. So that puts Minato above Obito, who's above Pain by, like, a lot, according to Minato. So, like...
Yeah, and I think another thing that kind of supports that, like, Minato really is that level is that we know Minato is objectively faster than Hiruzen. Like, it's actually stated he is the younger Hiruzen. We know that younger Hiruzen's a lot faster. So, like, 13 years ago Hiruzen. So, like, he's pretty young, actually. Like, he's probably on, like, the cusp of, you know, like, degrading or whatever. But he's clearly a lot stronger, right?
Yep.
He is a god-like speed compared to Hiruzen. He is the greatest. Yeah. And then we see later that in the war, as an old Edo, Hiruzen is stated to be above Tobirama as an old Edo. Like, and not only that, but he's actually able to help Naruto before Tobirama can as well, and which implies, you know, also, like, furthers that. And there's also the statements, you know, Hiruzen is above, you know, his predecessors, which is probably talking about Tobirama.
And again, even if, like, again, we're not saying that Minato's above Hashirama. Maybe it's just recency bias, whatever. But Hiruzen thought that Minato was stronger than Hashirama.
Yeah.
So, like, for Hiruzen to be above Tobirama and for him to think, like, respect Minato to that degree, like, it's just, I don't know, not looking good for...
Yeah. Okay, so one cop-out that people have for Tobirama after this now is sort of like two things. But the first one is his, like, tandem paper bombs, which...
I cracked the deity gate!
Yeah, it cracked the deity
Hashirama
gates
level!
in the background. And the deity gates were able to survive, like, I guess the Ten Tails kind of, like, blowing itself up within the Crimson Barrier. Now, those gates do not absorb the entire Bijou Bomb's energy into, like, one gate.
And it's also a crack.
But
okay, it's not like he blows up the whole gate.
Yeah,
it's a crack. Like the Tobirama fans are kind of in the mud.
And it might also be that those gates are getting damaged or even like wearing off. We don't even know how they work in nature, so it's like it's absolute copium. But like,
so anyway, it's not like Tobirama would even be able to do this, right? Like unless we're saying Edo Tensei versus Edo Tensei, in which case Minato has a stronger argument anyway because he's better with sealing jutsu. Like Tobirama doesn't. It doesn't seem like he'd have any way to actually like beat Minato if they were Edo to Edo, whereas Minato would just be able to seal him. So if they were alive, Tobirama
seal him without Reaper Death. By the way, you can seal the Nine Tails without Reaper Death. People don't know that.
Correct.
Yeah. So Tobirama doesn't have a way to actually use Tandem Paper Bomb while alive unless he just like summons an Edo mid-battle, which you'd probably have to go like grave robbing.
He runs to a graveyard.
But he just has the flame raging mark to it. Like okay, whatever. So he does the whole
graveyard.
He does the whole thing that Kabuto had to do to like demonstrate summoning a body to Obito. He does it in the middle of his fight with Minato, even though Minato recognizes that Obito is fully aware. By the way, this is Obito who's able to fight, at the same speed pretty much relative to Minato, okay? Like while they're fighting. Like Obito's reacting to his attacks, phasing through Minato's attacks. Minato literally gets grabbed by him and almost sucked into Kamui. So, they're kind of moving at a similar speed.
Correct.
And
it's relativity.
Blatantly admits that Minato is just faster than him. So, Obito seems to outscale Tobirama based on that, right? And Minato says he knows he can't summon the Nine Tails. So Obito doesn't even have enough time to stop and put his hand on the ground. But people think that Tobirama would be able to go grab a body, like, put all the paper on it and stuff to, like, turn it into an Edo Tensei, summon it up, put Tandem Paper Bomb on it, and it would be able to get to Minato in time, right? Like,
yeah, that'd be very unlikely, right? Very, very unlikely.
Worst version of Edo Tensei, by the way. He's the worst user of it. He would have to get somebody fast enough while massively nerfed to hit Minato with Tandem Paper Bomb. He can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
The next copium argument is that, what about when Minato's in KCM2, which, by the way, Tobirama KCM2 after struggling with like Kinkaku with farts of QB chocolate. It's
we can talk about Kinkaku actually, by the way, like Kinkaku and Ginkaku. Okay, so Kinkaku and Ginkaku who get dismissed and dealt with by Darui and Ino Shikacho, okay, like Kinkaku getting like, beat up by this like no-name guy, Kitsuchi, and who just gets like steamrolled, like just rammed into by Human Boulder from Choji and just like
Human Boulder
taking damage, like is just gonna like sneak up on Tobirama, a censor ninja Tobirama, and I need to stress Tobirama is a good censor type. He senses Naruto and the Nine Tails chakra from all the way in the Uchiha, not the Uchiha hideout, but like the Uchiha whatever building in Konoha. Like I'm pretty sure it's underground, and he's like able to sense Naruto from all the way over there. But you're telling me that like Kinkaku and Ginkaku, who have like 6 tails worth of like version 2 like
KCM2
chakra,
Minato level, dude. They snuck up.
They're just KCM2 Minato level, and actually way faster than that, because apparently Tobirama is so fast that he can blitz him. Yeah, like he just can't see them coming. Like they were just, but like I mean I don't know, man. I guess Choji and Shikamaru and
Kitsuchi,
Ino are
they're
just
also KCM2 level.
Yeah, dude, they're all just like
I wonder why they didn't just give the Shinobi Alliance all their chakra. They're just so Giga Chad. It's actually insane.
Yeah, but like it's just so the reason this happened was because Minato was in a daze because he just found out that his student Obito was a mass murderer and killed his wife.
Yeah, clearly a mental
and tried
nerf,
to
right?
kill his
Clearly.
kid,
Yeah.
and like is destroying the whole world.
So I did a pretty good breakdown on this like a few years ago in my Minato, but that video is actually held up kind of surprising. I guess Minato scaling,
Yeah.
you think it'd be pretty cut and dry, but you know, it's guess not. But yeah. So basically, during this war arc, Minato's like really Giga Chad in like his base form. And then when he first appears, then you're like, and then he kind of falls off for some reason. You're like, what happened to him? And he falls off the moment he teleports and slashes Obito apart. And he's like, Obito, it was you.
Yeah, like this isn't like a
yeah.
copium theory. This is extremely consistent.
This is consistent for a few reasons. Now, at the time, I didn't even know a data book statement even existed on this, but the data book itself says he was in a daze. But the reason I actually came to that conclusion is because, for one, it makes sense because mental amps and nerfs in Naruto are a huge factor, right? That's huge. It's the whole thing. That's literally how Naruto beat Gaara, is having a mental amp. So these mental things do matter, and being nerfed also matters. And this was present with Hiruzen, Orochimaru, and many other characters. So Minato has to slash his own student and then kind of calculate what actually happened. He starts to feel like a failure, he starts to fall off, and this is actually shown with the speech bubbles in the series. So one thing you'll notice when you're actually watching Minato start to react to things, instead of having an exclamation mark like everyone else, he has ellipses, exclamation mark, which, as crazy as it sounds, is Kishimoto's way of showing he has a delayed reaction to normal. Because an ellipses is a delay and then a reaction. So he's having delayed reactions, even though he should be able to react faster than Naruto could, as he has to save Naruto numerous times, actually, even when fatigued or dazed. So this delayed reaction is completely mental. And then, you know, the next copium they have is like, oh, well, this dazed statement is when Obito starts lecturing him, which is completely crazy, because not only are they claiming that Minato is at full power, which they would have to prove, which you can't prove, but then you'd have to go over, okay, why would he also not be mentally shaken up by slashing his own student and having that revelation? And what did the ellipses mean? You just have to be a sophist. It's just completely sophist and disingenuous to like deny that he's actually nerfed there. And it also explains why he's so
All right, so I want to add this on top of that. So another piece of copium that Tobirama fans like to utilize is the fact that he was able to do at least something to Jubito, who is stated to be superior to Hashirama, right? But this is the bottom line with Jubito. There is a constant fluctuation with Obito since the beginning of the war arc. As soon as he saw Naruto, that mental nerfing and that fluctuating power level began. And the reason why is because Naruto is a parallel of what Obito would have became and used to be before Madara manipulated and contorted his ideology, right? So because of Naruto being so similar to what Obito used to be, his mental fortitude was compromised, right? So the whole time, including as Jubito, he had a mental conflict within his own mind. So that meant at times he was vulnerable to being affected and damaged or threatened by people much weaker than himself. That's why Minato, Naruto, Sasuke, and Tobirama were even able to damage him at all. And this is further proven by the fact that when he is stable to some degree, we see him blitz all the Hokage like they were nothing. Right? He blows Hiruzen into pieces, he blitzes Tobirama, he messes up Minato's arm and destroys it. So clearly when he's not unstable and has a constant fluctuation as far as his power level is concerned, there is a clear display of his superiority. We clearly see him taking everyone's ass to school. Everybody. All Hokage simultaneously got blitzed almost. So, simply put, Tobirama's feats have to be looked at with a careful lens, an objective lens, and context most definitely matters when trying to extrapolate what you can. And what you can extrapolate is that Jubito has a constantly fluctuating power level. Right, simply put. Hence, his feats against Jubito doesn't mean that he scales anywhere near Jubito's speed, AP, etc. And for you to claim that is either ignorance or willful ignorance and delusion, because clearly Jubito's mentally conflicted throughout the whole war. Clearly. And now Minato was in a daze. He was within his own thoughts, probably shameful of not being able to save his student from what he's become. Rightfully so. It's literally displayed in the manga itself. In the canonical literature, you see him dazed. And Seth and Swag brought up a piece of canonical literature also indicating that he was dazed, to further reinforce the fact that he was dazed during the war arc. So no, Tobirama does not scale above Minato in speed, AP, etc. He does not. Hence, unfortunately, there isn't much for Tobirama empirically. In fact, there's much going against him. Like Kinkaku and Ginkaku getting their ass handed to them by Darwin Company. but they killed this man. So unfortunately, there isn't much for Tobirama, and Seth and Swag are doing a great job at illuminating on that fact. But let's continue on.
Crazy in base form after he's not dazed anymore. He's, you know what I mean? Like
he's like teleporting. Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard this before. All right. So, Ten Tails Jinchuriki Madara is fighting Guy with the 8th gate open. The lead throws a kunai in between them so that Minato can teleport and catch the truth-seeking orbs and teleport away. In the anime, it's crazy because time slows down. Okay, like time slows down. Like they're moving in slow motion compared to base Minato.
The truth-seeking orbs can't even
arms.
damage his jacket, by the way, by the time he teleports.
Yeah, okay, so like they're moving in slow motion compared to base Minato with no arms, all right? And then in the manga, 3 panels of time pass before Guy or Madara or the truth-seeking orbs move at all. Like you see Minato appear, the truth-seeking orbs touch his jacket,
correct,
and he's gone, and Guy still hasn't moved like relative to him at all. And that's in base. But like Tobirama's just faster, I guess, even though he's just like, well, I mean, you know, Big Brother is just way stronger. Like, everybody knows, right? Like, I don't even have to work to scale Hashirama above Tobirama. He just is stronger. That's a fact. And the thing is, Minato being faster than Hashirama is like not really like Hashirama can be stronger than him and like would beat him, but him being faster than Hashirama is not like a weird thing to say because Minato gets to the battlefield first. He's talked about like the fastest ninja ever, right? Like it's totally possible. And like
correct.
And he falls off. He falls off because of the narrative, and people can't read. Yeah. They don't know how to read the narrative. They only know how to read statement as literal. Like that's the only thing. Yeah.
Like Tobirama.
Sophism. Yep, sophism.
He doesn't have anything like close to the 10 tail 6 paths Madara Guy interception like level of speed, right? Like it's just find a feat of Tobirama dunking on Minato. That you know, when Minato's doing all of this crazy shit, right? Like when he's not clearly just like so out of it that he can't think straight, like you know, right? Like
he basically just slit his son's throat, you know, like his adopted son almost.
Like,
he shouldn't be feeling anything about that. I think he's good.
Like okay, like the Raikage thought that like Minato was invincible and would never be surpassed, and he knew about Kinkaku and Ginkaku, by the way. He knew about them a lot and thought that they were like really scary.
Yeah, so he actually puts Minato above them, and he has knowledge on all of them.
Like way above them when they were just able to go so fast that Tobirama.
Correct, that's a good observation.
That were famous in their village and have attacked and done things numerous times, and he's fought Minato numerous times, and he said, nah, nobody is surpassing or on Minato's level. Just nobody.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so like you have to be extremely dishonest to say
it's
that
just
Tobirama's faster than Minato for that. Yeah, so Minato has better
Agreed.
DP, especially if we give him KCM, right? And this is another thing I wanted to mention for speed is that Tobirama is not moving as fast as KCM 2 Sage Mode Naruto, but Minato is able to keep up with him later in the fight. Right? Like when Naruto
and that's KCM with Sage Mode.
Yes, with Sage Mode, okay? Right? Like think of the difference between base
Correct.
Naruto and Sage Naruto, and then put that on top of KCM 2, okay? Like, and then KCM Minato is moving at the same speed as that, and he's making a Rasengan just as big as that Naruto. Okay, and they're both able to move in complete sync. And
Minato should have a weaker. He should have a weaker KCM too, because his link with Kurama should just be less.
Yeah,
his chakra shouldn't be as fused with him.
So the only thing that you can possibly rely on to get Tobirama to win this fight is his intelligence. Like, okay, well, I mean, now I'm sure there are some of you, like, if you're a huge Tobirama fan and you really, 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 really think that he would win this fight, you're probably not convinced, but, like, whatever. But those of you who might have been on the fence about this, right, like reasonable people who heard all of that and went, oh, yeah, no, Tobirama can't compete with that, you might be like, well, isn't Tobirama, like, really smart? Like, wouldn't he be able to go into this and think of a way to beat Minato? And it's like, you know, yeah, like, I'll give Tobirama that. Like, he has one of the highest battle IQs in the series. So does Minato.
Yeah,
so, exactly.
Literally.
Like, okay, so I'm not even going to attempt to like claim that Minato is like way smarter than Tobirama here, right? Because I don't have to do that. I don't have to prove that. I just have to prove that they're relative. I personally think that Minato probably is smarter than Tobirama and has like a better battle sense. But again, I'm not going to argue that because I don't have to prove it. All I have to prove is that they're relative in this regard, or that Tobirama isn't like massively smarter than him, like enough to make up for all of the huge disparities in stats that we've talked about. And I mean, like, there's no way that you can claim this, right? Because like Minato has tons and tons and tons and tons of impressive displays of his intellect.
Even when Tobirama is like out commanding Minato, it's because Minato's thinking about like his dead wife and students. Like, it's
Exactly.
Oh my god!
Exactly.
Wow, like yeah, and like the world is at war and stuff, and it's all my fault because I failed Obito. Right?
It's
Like,
literally
like, a
not
lot to
equivocal.
bear.
It's just not one-to-one.
Yeah, like I don't, you know, Tobirama does have that really impressive thing where he recognizes that only Sage Jutsu can hurt Obito. Like, that's awesome. You know, he created Shadow Clones, Edo Tensei, the Flying Raijin.
He's
comes
definitely a
up with some
very
of their
smart
battle
and creative shinobi. That's not there's.
But then like
nothing to take away.
Minato sees Kamui and he just figures it out, right? He's just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so he can't attack and phase through stuff at the same time. But okay, think about Kakashi, right? Like, Kakashi is, I mean, everybody knows how smart Kakashi is, and it takes Kakashi, like, fighting Obito for a while to figure that out, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Or
it
having
takes
like,
him a minute.
or like Conan having like years of like knowledge in advance.
Yeah, exactly. Or like how Minato like looks at Kakashi use Chidori one time, and he's just like, don't use that again. Don't.
Yeah, his deduction speed is
He's
faster
just
than
like, yeah, you
Tobirama,
probably,
that's for
like,
sure.
won't be able to see
His ability
while
to
you do
deduce
it 'cause you'll be,
difficult
like, running too
concepts and
fast you don't have
difficult
enough depth of
battles is
perception, and it's
quicker
like,
than
how do
Tobirama,
you-
I'd say.
how do you even, you know,
He just knew
like,
his jutsu immediately. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
good.
like,
He also
I
had like
mean-
the best scores in school, which
even higher than Itachi, by
so
the way.
so I guess it depends if you think like child prodigiousness translates all the way to like adulthood or not. But I mean, there is like an implication, I suppose.
To be fair, Tobirama like did create the tuning exams, I'm pretty sure. So like maybe he would have had a higher score than Minato on the test. Who
Yeah.
knows? But like the point is,
I mean, by that logic,
Minato-
Gaara might be like the goat. So, so.
but I mean, it's like the point is they should be comparable, bare minimum, like 100%. You have to be extremely dishonest to say that Tobirama is running circles around Minato mentally. Like
Correct.
it's just not the case based on what's displayed. Minato has more. He has more intelligence.
No,
than
when
Tobirama
Tobirama
does.
said Minato is like faster than him, he's like, "Oh, you're faster than me when I use 0.1% of my full speed." That's how he actually meant. I could blitz you if you had the nine tails slapped on top of your speed. Like that's what he actually meant. I think that's what That was what was implied.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he was just like, oh well. I mean, I was.
They were just gassing him up, you know, even though he's already dead. They're just trying to hype him up. I feel that.
Yeah, Tobirama, the like notorious asshole piece of shit, is just being really nice.
Yeah.
So, in conclusion,
Yeah, Minato stomps. But the video was 30 minutes this time. I thought it was going to be
yeah, I can't think of like any arguments in Tobirama's favor. I know this is gonna upset Tobirama fans, and I know that Seth and I have.
There really
gone on
isn't
Tobirama
one
before
that
and
is
made people
5
mad.
years.
strong rationally.
When we said
Really isn't.
Kisame would beat him, we probably don't agree with that anymore. But maybe we'll revisit it. Who knows? But regardless, look, Minato wins. Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
If you guys
Correct.
want another battle that we revisited after doing it years and years ago,
Yeah, if we did a video
we
5
just-
years ago, like, let us know. We'll redo it.
Well, we also just recorded one that should be going up on Seth's channel soon, or should be up on it now. Itachi versus Pain. So go check that out. Subscribe to Seth. Subscribe to me. And
Great video,
yeah,
guys.
Thanks for listening.
As
to the
always.
video.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so I definitely want to get my thoughts on this one. So, like I said previously, before we started the reaction, there just happens to be more for Minato when you extrapolate scaling from the canonical literature provided. There's just much more for Minato, actually. As far as arguments for Tobirama, I can't think of one myself. You'd have to be disingenuous and somewhat of a sophist to establish some sort of rational deduction. And again, it would be heavily flawed. It'd be heavily flawed. I could presuppose that Jubito was at full power the whole time, and then maybe you could say he's faster than Minato, but that's extremely disingenuous, and you're clearly being a sophist if you are to claim that, or just plain out ignorant to the canonical literature and what it is trying to present to you, right? So Minato is stated by Tobirama himself to be faster than him. Minato is someone that the Raikage considers to be unbeatable, invincible, and yet he is familiar with the very individuals that killed Tobirama, Kinkaku and Ginkaku, and yet doesn't think of them as highly as Minato. Again, allowing us to scale Minato above Tobirama empirically. Rationally, we can easily deduce that with that empirical piece of evidence, right? Hiruzen is stated to be more talented than his predecessor, Tobirama Senju. Yet Hiruzen defaults to Minato during the Ninetales attack and literally says, "Where's Minato?" implying his inferiority. And this was a much younger, at least over a decade younger, Hiruzen in comparison to Part 1, right? So we got to keep that in mind as well. There's just a ton for Minato empirically, right? And as far as the intelligence, I honestly don't think it's that relevant anyways, especially if we're presupposing that this battle is just one-on-one without heavy prep time, because Minato's speed would be over that of Tobirama's, and I believe empirically there is more for us to safely establish that Minato's ability to quickly, rationally deduce things in the midst of the battle is better than Tobirama's. Minato figured out calmly like that. No one else was able to do that. Minato has the highest scores in Academy history. Again, Tobirama created the Academy in the tuning exams, if I'm not mistaken, so we never got to see how he did, but Minato seems to be more quick on his feet. And that's further proven by the fact that Tobirama lost to Kinkaku and company. So he clearly didn't think quickly enough rationally to establish countermeasures to survive and or defeat Kinkaku and their crew, right? So there's just much more for Minato empirically. And I know there's going to be some individuals that are true Tobirama fans and are going to say, wow, you're wanking Minato and this is bullshit, etc. We're not. We're literally just extrapolating from the literal canonical literature being provided to us what we can. And what we can extrapolate is that Minato is heavily implied to be superior to Tobirama. Tobirama implies it himself, by the way. Tobirama implies it, the Raikage implies it, Hiruzen implies it, the physical feats that they accomplish implies it, etc. It's really that simple. So although I see this debated very commonly amongst the Naruto fandom, it really isn't much of a debate. It really is not. I truly don't think it's that contentious at all. Tobirama scales below Minato. It's as simple as that. And for the people that say, well, Madara said that he was the fastest of his time, and I believe that indicates that he was faster than EMS Madara and Prime Hashirama. Well, okay, he is. But simply put, Minato was faster than that. It's as simple as that. We also got to take into consideration that speed isn't the only factor in a battle. The Raikage was faster than Old Man Hiruzen, right? He states that he was the fastest Kage of his time ever since Minato's death. Yet who was stated as the strongest Gokage? Hiruzen. So despite the Raikage being faster than Hiruzen, Hiruzen is still the superior. Hence my point is, if there isn't enough of a vast gap in speed, then speed isn't as much of an X factor in comparison to a battle where the gap in speed is gargantuan, right? So maybe Tobirama was just a little faster than EMS Modern Hashirama. So what? Minato's faster than that. Simple as that. So that's not enough for you to prove that Tobirama has this significant gap or any gap in superiority as far as speed is concerned. He doesn't. He literally admits that he doesn't. He literally admits inferiority as far as speed is concerned. Minato beats Tobirama. That's about it, folks. That's all that can really be said. And that's all we can extrapolate from the canonical literature safely and genuinely. But yeah, folks, that's my thoughts on this video. It was a very interesting video. Great scaling. I'm glad that they revisited this topic once again. I thought that the logic and the scaling was very well done by Swag and Seth. Again, I tried to play devil's advocate as I could, but like I said, there really isn't nothing for Tobirama empirically. There's only one thing that I could nitpick Swag and Seth on. It really was kind of irrelevant anyways. Because like I said, even if we do presuppose that Tobirama was faster than Madara and Hashirama in their primes, then simply put, Minato's faster than that. Doesn't mean he's stronger than Hashirama or Madara. It doesn't mean that. Because Tobirama is not faster than Hashirama and Madara. Yet we can possibly interpret that he's faster. Right, so again, speed's not the only factor. It's a multivariate equation when trying to solve who wins a battle and why. But yeah, folks, let me know your thoughts on this video in the comment section below. Who do you think wins this one? Let me know your comments on my thoughts, on Swag and Seth's thoughts, on the scaling and logic that was provided here today. Let me know your thoughts on all of it. But that's going to wrap it up, folks, and I'll catch you in the next video. This is the Great signing out. Peace.